Riding. I am here with Jessica Miller from Eat, Drink, Love, and I will be interviewing her today with my questions and the questions that you guys tweeted me. So we're gonna jump into it. Um, as you know, I'm like the biggest fan of Eat, Drink, Love, because I love food. I do. Food is like my life.
I know. It's so true. It's like I was surprised at how good all the food looks too. So
I know, right? And like half the stuff is like I can't pronounce it, but it looks so good that I want to eat it.
oh my gosh, I watched the show and I'm like, oh, I'm like sitting at home on Thursday at 7 o'clock and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like I want that again, and I'll go back and eat there just because
That's so funny. Well, that's something I want to know. Like, okay, so usually on Thursday when I get off, it's 8 here, or it came on at 8 Central Time. So did it get moved to a new time slot, or what happened with that?
Yeah, it's bounced around a few different weeks. Bravo had some scheduling issues, and kind of was seeking and found the market of the viewerships. And, I guess they look at DVR numbers and things like that. And they were like, oh, the market of people watching are this time, like, let's cater to them since this or that. So it was really just because we had a really specific fan base, which is great, which doesn't happen very often. So
okay, cool. Because I was like, am I missing the show? What the hell is going on? And I had to like DVR because I always miss the new time slot because I'm at work at that time. So yeah.
Yeah. They'll be rerunning it. Well, they are going to be rerunning it after next week over and over again. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So. Which just kind of brings me to my first question. How did you become a part of the cast of Eat, Drink, Love?
I actually have a very different story than everyone else. Kat actually was spearheaded the whole project. And she, from the conceptualization of it, she actually, if you watch the credits, has a producer credit on a few of the episodes. Oh. She had casted the whole thing, and Bravo had casted the whole thing. And they had signed off on this project to do at least the pilot for an episode, and I wasn't a part of it. I was never asked to be a part of it. I was friends with Kat and Brenda, and heard through the grapevine there was going to be a show in LA about food, but that was really it. And so Kat called me, and we were friends, and she said, hey, listen, we're shooting the pilot for this Bravo show. I need to use a few of your locations to shoot. Is that cool? And I was like, 100%, whatever you need, let me know. So she gets, a few people together, and a camera crew, and everybody shows up. And of course, I don't know how well you can tell this, but I'm very passionate about what I do. And I've done a lot of research, and I'm kind of the geek of the crew. And research shows that anytime you break up the ambiance of a dining experience, people are statistically going to spend less money. For example, if you go to a restaurant and you're ordering an appetizer and an entree, and there's music and there's, some stuff going on, if somebody pops a balloon in the middle of your dinner, you are statistically less likely to order dessert. So I know it's a weird thing, but yeah, I know. So I think about stuff like that. And I said, okay, come in. So if you're going to bring in a camera crew with lights and cameras and the whole thing, you've got to do it out of sight from my guests.
Right.
So they come in, the producers were kind of, stepping out of the little bubble I had given them, and I was getting mad, and I was like, you guys have to stay in this area or you're out. And I was like, I'm going to kick you out of here, like this. And they're like, wait, who are you? And I'm like, get out! Like, no. They're like, no, you have to be a part of this project. And I'm like, don't try to butter me up, like, I have a whole dinner service going on. Like, my chef is this, and this. And they were like, we're calling you tomorrow. Like, this is so fun. So that's how I got involved, really.
Okay,
like, long story long, but yeah.
That's pretty cool. You were just yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, see, that's awesome. What has it been like to watch yourself on the show?
Oh, boy. It has been a trip. And that's because I don't know, you think that you are one way, and then when you watch it, like when I watch it on my TV, it feels like, oh yeah, I'm watching this, but I forget that it's like a national and international show. So I'm like, oh wait, like this isn't just like a private video, like everyone in the world can watch this. And I didn't realize a few things. Number one, I thought I had a great poker face, but I don't. Like everything that I think and I feel, I see on my body language and in my face. I had no idea I made such weird like facial expressions or like it's really funny because in my head I'm like, oh, I feel so awkward, but don't worry, you look so cool during this. And I'm like, you're good, Jess. Like you got this. Good thing they don't know how like weird you are. And then I'm like, oh my God. Like, who am I kidding? Like I'm horrible.
That's so funny. I think I have the same problem because I can't. My facial expressions tell everything I'm thinking, so I can't hide anything.
I know. I'll like roll my eyes and I'm like, oh no. That's, I really feel like I'm in my head so cool, and especially with like the girls. And I'm like, no, I'm so not.
Well, I have to tell you, I feel like you're, to me at least, for just my perspective, I feel like you're the most relatable person on the show that I can relate to. Because some of the things, of course, I don't, work in the food industry, but some of the things that you've gone through just from what we've seen so far, I've been through that too. So it makes me, a lot of times when I watch shows, it's usually, these glamorous people who like in, I don't know, somewhere that I can't afford. And I can't really relate to them. But I have to tell you, I really can relate to you as a person on the show. So I did want to tell you that. I just want to let you know.
Thank you. And it's nice to hear that because, I feel like I don't really have in real life like a support system of people that are, like that and say, oh, yeah, we have similar experiences because I really just don't with the girls. And it was really hard to kind of, I don't know, like to me, when the cameras were on versus when the cameras were off, it wasn't a different, it was almost like therapy. Like it was nice. I really was myself. And then looking back, before the show started to air, I was really nervous and I was like, I just felt a little excluded in some areas because of the things that I had gone through. But since it's aired, I've felt such this like empowerment of people that are like, no, like, it's okay to, put yourself through these things and experience these things. And, it's nice to have that support when I didn't before,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I got your back. I support you.
Thanks.
So with the girls, this is kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
I guess which ones did you know before filming, and then since filming has stopped, do you talk to any of them?
So I knew all of the girls before filming. I had met that I wasn't very, very close. I was close with Kat, and I was close. Brenda and I were buddies. But buddies in a sense where like we're in the same industry, we see each other around. I actually knew, I knew of her for years because I've always looked up to her. She's really, really good at what she does, and so her and Kat and I were kind of buddies.
Okay.
Lindsay, I had met one or two times. Was never a fan, to be honest. But we had met, so. Whatever. Waylon, I had met once and just loved. The second I met her, I loved her. And Nina, I didn't know really. I met her as this experience went forward. I had seen her a few times. I had actually been we've done the same events, but that's about it. Since the show has aired, Brenda's my best friend. I see her every day. Okay. We literally we laugh together, we cry together, we freak out together, we talk about boys every single day. And we kind of work side by side kind of a little bit now. So we're closer than ever. The show's brought us closer together with each other. And I we're going paddleboarding today. I love her.
Oh, okay.
Kat and I, during the show, were really, really close. And before the show, right before the show, right before we started to film, we were very, very close. And since the show's aired, we're not as close as we were, which is a little bit weird, but we're still friends. I see her maybe once every 2 weeks. We do brunch and things like that and catch up.
Okay, so I don't know if this is kind of a touchy subject now, but with the whole situation with Harry and the company or whatever, so... Well, for one, what was your position with Harry? What did you do?
Director.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you can tell us, but what is it that went down that kind of caused you guys to split ways?
It was a combination of a bunch of things. Um, he is a very private person, and so is his family. And I think cameras and the show had a lot to do with it.
Okay.
He wasn't comfortable with cameras in his restaurant, especially at the time I had just opened the new Pink Taco on Sunset Strip.
Uh-huh.
And the premise for me going into the show that he had originally approved was director of marketing, full reign, this or that. Like in the restaurants, this is a great way to get it out. I don't know who he started to surround himself with in his personal life or whatever it was, but I think that, actually it's kind of weird because Brenda's boss at that time, who she had that big fight with Lindsay about,
Uh-huh.
was also really good friends with Harry. So when they started to kind of say like, well, what is this? And the show started to film and they're like, well, is it about, I thought it was about only food and now you guys are like drinking and like, is this going to be bad for the brands and like things like that? But it was kind of too late to turn back. And, we had committed to the show already and he really was not comfortable because he didn't know what the outcome would be.
Right.
So that really had a lot to do with it, which kind of was a shock to me because literally, and it went down like the show really like nothing was scripted. And I know people say, oh yeah, it's reality, but like how real is it? And like the
Right.
drama. The reason they probably say that, I think, is because you only get to see a snippet of the drama. And if you saw the like full situation, you would be like, oh, this or that. But it was all so real. Like when I brought that bottle of wine to Tinga and I was like crying and I was like, my team stabbed me in my back. Like it went down just like that. Like, and it was really hard because I almost wanted to call the producer of the show and be like, I can't shoot today. Like, I got fired, but I quit because I had to choose Bravo or my job, and it was too late. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it was a really emotional experience, and I like, and cameras were always around, and I couldn't. They're like, no, we need you to just say what happened.
Right.
And I'm like, but I just am coming from this meeting, and I don't know what to say, and I can't say on camera that he didn't like this show. Like, it's okay, like this or that. And at the time it just everything went down and my team really did. I was so nervous about this show and how he felt about it that I literally was sleeping at my office overnight, working really hard, working on all these spreadsheets, making sure that he knew that everything was okay. And I ended up doing all of this work and that they had asked for, and I got my team together and said, here you go, like this is what we can turn in. And they turned it in and said that they did it. So that was the whole thing too. But yeah, it was a combination of all those things.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah. Well, so obviously you're working now. So where is it that what company you're with or where you're working now?
Yeah, so directly after Harry, I obviously had a mental breakdown and really experienced a lot of things and this or that, and ended up freelancing a little bit. And then about a long time, God, I can't believe it's a year ago now, I signed on with Cardiff Giant, and they own 4 open restaurants right now, and they're opening up 7 more by next year. 3 of them opening up in the next 3 months. So we have great chefs on board. David Mayfield, who's insane. Like everything's lined up, and I'm running their sales. So I do their sales and marketing.
Okay, well that's good. I was glad to hear that you're back on your feet and
Yeah.
bounce back. I always like to hear that. I always like to hear how people come back. So Brenda kind of on the show kind of told Kat about her reputation in LA with Eater and all of that. Did you have an opinion about that, or did you agree with her reputation, or what do you kind of see that as?
I think it's funny because, I was, and I still, like, I'm very close with Kat, and I'm closer with Brenda, and I know both of their personalities so well. So I see why Brenda thinks that, because there are a lot of like women, especially in this industry, or men that do try to date Kat, and she says no, this or that, and it's become a thing where it's spiraled into something that it's not. But from my side of it, just knowing Kat really well, it's like Kat loves to love and be loved. She loves a relationship. She loves this, but she also loves work, and she loves work more. So she works all the time, but she is always so like looking for love and just loves being in a relationship. And so of course she's going to date people that she knows through work, which, is not uncommon. I don't think that she has this reputation of like going and sleeping around, because she doesn't. I think if anything, people know that all you have to like invite her to your restaurant and she'll come. Like she invites me all the time to all these tastings that she does. So, I see why Brenda thinks that, because there have been so many people that have created that reputation around her for different reasons, because they don't have her best interest at heart. So if that's what's happened because of it, then yeah. And I know Brenda doesn't think that she is that way, but she does want Kat to be careful because she feels like that reputation is out there. And as a businesswoman, she's just saying like, hey, listen, I know and it didn't get to come across as this, and she could probably speak for herself on this, but she was basically just saying like, hey, I know that you're not like this, but people are thinking this and they're saying this. So nip it in the butt.
Right.
So I know Kat's had a hard time with it, but she's okay now.
All right. So the whole Lindsay situation where she was supposed to bring like drinks or some kind of whatever to you, like quote or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of at the party that you threw or the get together you had, I know a lot of people were criticizing because they felt like the way you did it was not the best or immature, a little childish. What do you have to say to that?
She actually brought that up at the dinner, is what you didn't see, and it was like, hey, like. So I'm not really putting together the cocktail stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's just not going to work out. It's fine. Like, sorry. But like she had brought, like, I didn't just out of nowhere be like, hey, I just heard you call me like a bitch, so you're not going to work with me. Sorry. No, like we had literally for 2 weeks, I hadn't heard from her about the cocktail program. And she was like, well, you didn't send me this. I go, I gave you all the information. I said I wanted 5 sake cocktails. What else do you need to know?
Right.
Like, price it out for me. And then at the dinner, she was like, so I haven't gotten back to you yet about the cocktails. And I was like, yeah, it's just not going to work out. Sorry. Like, and I watched myself say that, and like, I didn't realize I was coming across that rude. Like that whole like shoulder shrug thing. I have never done that before. Like I watched myself and I was like, ooh, Jessica, bad. So that was mean of me, but she brought it up at the dinner, and I was.
Okay. So it wasn't something just randomly where you're like, oh, well, you don't like my gift? Well, yeah, by the way, I'm not doing it.
No.
Okay.
And by the way, she didn't take the gift home. She left the sake thing there. And the next time I saw her, I was like, oh, you left my... And the thing was, like, every time we shot together, I brought a gift for the girls. So, like, I brought them little necklaces with forks on them. Like, I brought this or that. And this is just the one that you guys got to see. And she was so rude about it. And I was so pissed that she left it there at Pink Taco. After she left, I was like, she left that there on purpose.
Right, so then later on, so we saw that, and obviously you guys weren't going to get along. I knew after that, I was like, okay, this is not going to work. They're never going to get along ever again. So was Lindsay, I'm kind of confused by Lindsay. So was she supposed to be a part of the show, or was she just always seemed to be around when you were filming, or what was the deal with that?
Originally a main cast member, and we all thought that she would be throughout the whole shooting process, but she really sparked so much crazy that it wasn't like entertaining crazy. It was like weird. Okay. And it was a point, and it was real. And we were like, you know, the show isn't about us. And the thing, I mean, people will criticize the show like, oh, it's a little bit boring this or where's the job, this or that, but like the show's premise is supposed to be about food and about women that are in the same industry supporting each other. And she threw a wrench in that and was trying to make it some kind of housewives. I don't know if she was doing it on purpose, but it was real. And like she would do this stuff. And I think hopefully next week, I'm not going to give anything away. I hope they show it. If they don't, call me and I'll tell you what really went down. At Nina's pop up, Lindsay goes like and it was all her. Like it was the weirdest thing. And like drama like that, she just kept like doing it on purpose, like with Brenda and with Kat and with me. And it wasn't like entertaining. It was really like just annoying. So I don't know what producers, if they just like cut her out, but like they shot with her like she was gonna be a real cast member. And then I remember we were doing all the promos and the commercials and things like that, and they didn't invite her to, do the pictures with all of us in the beginning of the thing, and I think, or she like turned it down or something. I don't know what it was, but there was a whole lot of weird going on there.
Ah.
So I think that it was a good thing to cut her out as much as possible.
About the Lindsay situation, about the party, huh?
That was crazy. She blatantly lied to me.
Yeah, like to your face. And so when they kind of caught her in the lie, and instead of her, just being woman and saying, hey, I didn't want to invite you, it's like Nina and Waylon had to convince her to call you and tell you, hey, I didn't want that to happen.
And she lied again on, it was just a work thing and I didn't this or that. Listen, I knew I wasn't invited. Like, I knew that going into it. I said, I heard you're having a party. Like, I know I'm not invited. Like,
right.
I didn't want to be invited, but it was the most awkward dinner. I was trying to bring up conversation, and I wanted to, like, give her a chance to talk about her great beverage company that she's doing and promo. Oh, yeah, I'm doing that was her chance to be on camera, like, oh, yeah, like, I have this company. We are bartenders, this or that. And she, like that was me kind of giving her the oomph to kind of get her stuff on Bravo, you know what I mean? Like thinking business wise.
Right.
And she was like, oh, it was canceled. And I knew it wasn't canceled. So I was like, I'm over this. I'm done. Like, see you later. But I had no idea that the second I left, she said all those things. Like, so I want to invite you to this part. I had no clue. And so when I saw that for the first time last week or the week before, whatever it was, I was so pissed. I was like, that just goes to show you. And then when she did call me, she was like, I'm sorry. I was like, it's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to be invited, this or that. And like, I was never hurt by it. It was just so crazy that she like didn't take all the opportunities that she could have to really promote herself. And it was like, she used it for drama, and that was weird to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like the whole situation, even when you left, I felt like they had to. If Waylon wouldn't have said anything to say, hey, call her and just let her know you don't want her, I don't think she would have said anything. I think she would have just lied to you still.
100%. You're absolutely right. Yeah, thank God. Well, and it's like she calls and she ended up like inviting me, and that's like a whole other story. But it's like, I mean, even, yeah, the girls were sitting there like, you just lied to her. Like, that's not cool. Like, yeah. I mean, it was just a weird, stupid situation that, like, I'm not this, like, little stupid girl that's going to have my feelings hurt because I know I didn't get invited. I brought it up because I know I'm not invited, but that's fine with me. I don't care. We're not friends. I don't expect it to be invited to her things. I don't invite her to my things.
Right.
Like, that's fine. I just wanted her to be able to, like, talk about it because she was working with Marcel at the time, who's like this really good looking chef, and I wanted to like hear the dirt on that. And she like went into this weird like thing where, oh, it's canceled, and I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry about that. Like, wink wink. I don't know.
So speaking of chefs, so there's been, or at least Waylon has said, I don't think anyone else has said it, that chefs are like, they have this really huge ego about themselves. And are they really like that? Or it's just some people? Or
all of them.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah, I always say that chefs are like, I don't know, you know how you hear like, oh, pilots are notorious like cheaters or something like that? Like, it's probably like that. But yeah, I think because of, well, and rightfully so, that's the thing. Like, that's just kind of like, if you're a chef, you're very like right brain. You're very creative. You're or left brain. You're very like you work with your hands. You're very artsy. They tend like chefs tend to use their creative side rather than their like bookworm side, if you will, which is like how I operate. And so when I see like all of these chefs and their creativeness and blah blah blah, putting up these foods and all blah, like with that comes this sort of like I don't know, you have to have a little bit of an ego if you're a chef because you're putting yourself into your food. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you don't believe in your food.
Right.
But I think most of them take it way too far. And a lot of them like there's a reason that there's not a show called like Eat, Drink, Love with all chefs because they don't open up their personal lives because they're like notorious partiers, especially in LA. Like, yeah, no, they're all 100%.
All right, so now that you're with a different company, have you found a way to balance your career and your personal life now?
Yeah, I have. Mostly because literally, and I'll let you. Well, I don't know how much I should tell you because on Thursday, I hope. Well, I don't know how much they'll see, but like, the guy that I was really awkward on that date with, he had a lot to do with it, and that was really our first date.
Oh wow.
And I was so nervous, but like I really was. But I once I met him, I kind of was like, oh, like dating and that this is fun. So that really has opened my eyes. But having said that, I am the first in my office and I'm the last to leave. So I haven't found the perfect balance yet. I would say if before I was 100-0, I would say now I'm 80-20. So I'm making progress.
I guess it's kind of all like the show questions I have. But like as of now, like what would you like? Do you have any advice for someone who is 100% dedicated to the career, and like has like you were that didn't really have personal time, that their job was like their whole identity, their whole life? Do you have any advice for some people who are like that?
Yeah, I think, and I've been criticized a lot, whether it's Twitter or the blog post, and saying like, "Oh, chill out, like slow down, like you need a life, blah blah blah." But you know what? There's something to this, and I think Los Angeles in particular, there's not a lot of people that have a very strong work ethic embedded in them. And I think a lot of people are like, slow down, smell the roses, because we're at the beach. It's 75 degrees and sunny every single day of the year. You barbecue on Christmas. Like, that's the mentality. It's very laid back. It's very this. It's very that. And if you get caught up in that, it slows you down. And I don't think that that's necessarily good either. So I think that if you want to be successful, then you have to put yourself out there and you have to work hard. And there's no substitute for that.
Right.
There's no substitute for, getting someone. It's not easy, and you're not going to do it the easy way. And you have to pay your dues, and you've got to put in the hours, literally the hours. And I always say work smart, not, as many hours, this or that. But like, you've got to carve out a time in your life where you really do just say, listen, I am going to put my personal relationships on hold. I am going to put my career first because this is what's important to me. And, I'm going to be 27 next month. And I am very much in a point where, I want to retire by the time I'm 45 comfortably. And if I stop and smell the roses, then I can't do that. And I know what my priorities are. So I would say don't listen to necessarily everyone saying that you need to have a perfect balance, because I think it's important to acknowledge a time in your life where you are going to dedicate yourself 100% to your career so you can, reap the benefits of it later.
So your dad, his advice is so awesome. Your dad was so awesome when we got to see him on the show. And I always, anytime I talk to someone who has that relationship with the dad, because unfortunately I didn't have that, so my dad was never around. But I do. I just had to tell you, your dynamic with your dad, I love it. I totally do.
He's so smart. He really is. He's such a smart guy. And I really am like kind of terrified of like talking to him about the work stuff. Like when it all went down, like it was so real and it was all happening so fast. And it just so happened that there were cameras around and it was really hard to kind of you know, go through that on camera, but he really is just, I mean, he's so, so smart. And I think you'll get to meet my mom and my sister next week.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So if there is a season two of Eat, Drink, Love, would you be on board?
100%, of course. Yeah. Of course.
Okay, that's awesome. So I have two fan questions actually. Oh no, sorry. Before I do that, what is something that you want people to know about you that they don't necessarily get to see on the show?
Um, I feel like I've represented myself fairly well. I definitely am as socially awkward, like with everyone as I look. But I guess that's a good question. Something that I would want viewers to know is, something that's bothered me since the beginning of the show is that this whole thing came out about like journalism and cat and this or that. And I went to the best journalism school in the world, and I'm looking at all of these like journalists, like we've done all of these news programs, all of these newspapers, and all these journalists are, accusing Kat of like not getting into the story or this or that, but like these journalists are asking the wrong questions because if they did their homework, then they would know like to ask me about this component of it because like I wrote my thesis about this in college about like all these types of things and I always felt really pissed off that they were asking the wrong questions and people were criticizing Kat and like she's putting food journalism down and this or that, and she's not a food journalist. She's never claimed to be a food journalist. She's not a journalist. She goes to restaurants of people that she knows and meets, and that's obviously biased. So she knows that she is a writer.
Right.
She's a writer. And she blogs, but she's a writer, and she writes about the openings of these things. And I think this whole backlash from the food journalism world is just BS, really. But I don't know what else. I don't know what they would know about. I love to craft. I had a Dalmatian when I was a kid. I love Dalmatians. Geez, I don't know. I exercise a lot. Like I like to paddleboard. I don't know. God, I like don't buy anything without a coupon. Like I cannot. It's like just like the principle of it. Like I have to have a coupon. I'm like the geek of the crew, so I don't know. I'm like so weird and lame.
I have one other question. Sorry, before I get to the fan question. With the group of women who all are, chefs or cooks or whatever else, do you think that, or did you feel it was kind of hard to make your presence known? Because are you the youngest out of everyone? Or okay, so
Yeah.
did you find it a little hard to make your presence known within the group of women?
It's actually that's a great question because even like to today, like it's not even like with the show and everything, like in real life with this particular group of girls, I get along with everyone. I very rarely not like someone. It's just not me. I get along with people. But for me, it's been really hard to find common grounds with these girls because I'm so different from them. I am so business and they are so not. And they're so like ingredients this or that. But like I work with chefs very closely, so I see that. But like that's like to me, relaxing is not going into the kitchen and making like a delicious meal. To me, that's torture. Like, no, thank you. Rather, no, that's, but for all of them, that's their passion. And so the personality, the dynamics are so different that I have felt very ostracized, even though that's like an insecurity of me. And I know that I'm not, and they're not like pushing me aside or like doing anything on purpose, but it's something that I struggle with because, I don't like to do stuff that they like to do.
Right.
So yeah, it's weird. I feel like the black sheep because, to me, sitting around and talking about like restaurants and things like that's fun to me. And they hate that stuff. And they're like, you always talk about work. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't realize that when you're talking about food, that is your work. So are you.
Right.
Like, and I support them, and we like I love to hear about those things, and I want to learn, and I am learning, but like it's just not like a wonderful passion of mine. Like I make all my lunches like on Sunday nights for Monday through Friday, and I use these like little bento boxes to take them to work. Like that to me is fun, like organizing my food for the week. That I love to do, but like for them that's like horrible. It's yeah, so it's been hard. I to have friend and they are my friends, you know? So I do support them, but yeah, I feel that I guess to answer your question specifically, it's not hard to make my presence known because I feel like it's just so obvious that I'm the black sheep. So it's already known. So I'm like, oh God, how do I blend in a little bit? You know?
Well, I do have two fan questions.
Okay.
And I think I only have two because like no one knows who I am. So they're like, who is this kid asking
What
the question?
you have like more Twitter followers than I do. I'm like retweeting Zach.
But I do. My first one is from at Housewives Now.
Oh yeah,
They
I
wanna
love.
know- Yeah, they want to know. Do you watch the Housewives of New Jersey? And if
Yes.
so, are you on Teresa's side or Melissa's side?
Oh my God. I watch all the Housewives first of all. Um, I'm obsessed with Joanna Krupa, by the way, from Miami. She's like amazing, and her and Roman are like, I'm like crazy obsessed with them. Teresa or Melissa Gorga. I don't know. You know, I think that I love watching Teresa. Like and I just love Teresa, and I kind of feel for her because like just being on this side of it, you think like, oh man, like I can't believe she has to watch this because maybe it was like nobody got to see that like she asked her that or something, you know, like stuff like that. But I love them both, and I mean, Melissa's just so beautiful. So like I like her because she's so pretty. But I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like she. I think she's the most beautiful person ever in the world. She's like gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't know which team I'm be just because I'm like team drama with them. You know,
Right.
you know who I love is Jacqueline's husband.
Oh yeah, I love Chris.
Oh, like just awesome does he seem?
Yeah.
Like just logical and normal.
Yeah, true.
But like Caroline is one of my favorites because she's like the godfather.
Yeah.
So wrong in my eyes. Like she's just this like guru of a person. I think she's awesome. I want her to like teach me how to live life.
So, I have another question from, and I don't know how to say this person's name. So if they're watching, I'm sorry because I don't know how to say it. I guess it's like Soncie22. I don't know. It's SONCIE 22. I'll just spell it for you. But she actually, it's not a question. She just wants to say that she wish you would believe in yourself and what you've accomplished at your age.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
But to chill out a little bit, was it that one?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, but like to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, I mean, I could go through, I like, you know how crazy I am with Twitter. I respond to absolutely everyone. I'm on it right now. Like, oh, see, there's Team Housewives. Do you still have my question? Yes, we do. Yeah, where is that? I just saw that too. Like, wish you would like chill out a little bit, relax. I'm like, that's like telling, you know, I don't know. It's like you can't. I know. I guess I can't. That's just who I am. I don't think that I'm high strung because like I'm pretty low maintenance. Like it's Saturday and I'm gonna go to Walmart and then I'm gonna go paddleboarding and like then I'm probably gonna go to Chipotle and get my tacos and then come back here and eat and watch a movie on demand and go to bed. Like that's my relaxing day. But like I think that I'm hype. I mean, I know I'm hyper. I have high energy all the time, and I just am that way. So I don't know if it's like she's saying like, I don't know, take some Ritalin or something, but like I'm just like hyper. I can't help it. And I'm passionate. I'm like so passionate about everything. Like I'm an excitable person, and I don't apologize for that because that is what's gotten me to the show. You know?
Right. Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. So I really want to thank you for doing this with me because I was super excited. But yeah, and then you guys can actually, you can see the video. It's gonna be on my YouTube channel. And I hope you guys have enjoyed my interview with Jessica from Eat Drink Love.